Oh, listen up and listen up, you swashbucklers, you buccaneers, you plunderers, you pirates, you divas, you masquerading weirdos, chicks and dicks alike. As you can see right now, I'm in Hawaii. I'm in Hawaii, you see? It's tropical, birds everywhere, fish all around me, and I have a lava bracelet. Now, today I'm going to give you my thoughts on Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Now that I've let the game marinate in our heads for a couple weeks now, post-launch. In this video, I'm going to break it into two parts. First, how does it stand up as a Gaiden, as a spin-off in the Likeadragon series? And number two, did it really live up to the hype as a game that has a long-standing, iconic character, Goromajima, in it, as a protagonist? You know it, I know it, so sit back, relax, put something in your morning Joe, and let's get into it.
Yoshia. Omaera. Kakugo sei!
So, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Did I really like it now that I've let it marinate? Well, suffice to say, to tell you up front, I really did enjoy it, really. I did. It gave me a plentiful amount of new goromajima moments that reminded me of why I loved this character in the first place. I mean, really. Sure, this game is about him losing his memory, but throughout the game, there's little glimpses, little sprinkles of him truly being there all along in some way. And I just feel like, for goromajima, this game was a real treat at the end of the day. But for the first part of the video, how does this game stand up as a Gaiden? Well, I've noticed when playing Pirate Yakuza that has quite a few things in common with the man who erased his name, Kiryu, besides of course being much shorter games and being a little sequel to an already established game that just got released. And well, first, this has one big thing in common with the man who erased his name, that being that you get to play as a classic, iconic character that started this franchise. However, there's something gone off their name. For the man who erased his name, obviously Kiryu had to be undercover. And if anybody tried to acknowledge him, he had to deny it that it was really him by going under the name Joryu. For Majima, he had amnesia. He lost his memory after being in a shipwreck. And remember, if you're clicking on this video, then I'm sure you're going to expect full spoilers, so full spoilers ahead. Majima met that giant squid in the Ichiban fight and lost his memory. So both Pirate Yakuza and Man Who Erased His Name are about iconic characters denying their identity in some way. Even in this game, when Majima is told by characters who already know him, whether it be Nishida or anyone else, Saejima and Minami, he still just doesn't really care. It's interesting. Maybe a bit disappointing if you just wanted a full-on Majima game where he's always crazy, but bear with me. And the second thing they have in common as Gaiden games is the fact that for both of these characters, you don't get to wear their iconic outfit at all in the main story. You don't. If you just play the game without changing your outfit when given the option to customize, they never change into their iconic outfit. Kiryu in Gaiden never wears the gray and red suit, and here, Majima never wears his standard snakeskin jacket. Now of course, in either game you can technically give them a different outfit, even though you never get Kiryu's classic one, and the man who erased his name. You can give them some other weird ones, like the dragon mask suit from 3 or something like that. Or even Majima's costume and Man Who Erased His Name. But here, of course, you can, if you're like me, pre-order the game, you got Kiryu's outfit for Majima. But when in terms of Majima's classic snakeskin outfit, he never wears it in the main game, besides maybe a weird flashback or two that are very brief. Of course, you can go seek out his costume alongside the zombie variant, or you can go find his red and black suit from 3 and 4, or the 24-hour Cinderella suit, Lord of the Night, Romy, any of his classic costumes you can find at any point, so it's up to you. I do find it interesting that the man who erased his name and Pirate Yakuza finally give us a modern gameplay treat with a classic character. However, they never really get to live with their identity until a certain point in the finale, nor do they get to wear a classic outfit, because the main highlight of these two games is the main guys getting a new fighting style. Kiryu was Agent, and for Majima, it was Pirate. Now I'll take up front, because throughout this video I'm just going to weave in gameplay and story as I go. just a mishmash in my thoughts. And I do feel like that pirate style was a lot of fun. Kiryu's agent style was fun, but they're both kind of gimmicky, and I know people like to say the Dragon Engine games are the best in combat, and believe me, they do have some real high points and very great points that really make them amazing gameplays in a modern Dragon Engine, but I gotta say, I still prefer the older combat in these Yakuza games. Even if you talk about Zero, Ishin, or of course, I know a lot of people like the Parade, Lost Judgments, fighting styles, but all those games, I could do less fighting styles, I'll be honest guys. I don't need 4 or 3 fighting styles. But I think Zero's the only one that really make them stand out as fighting styles, at least have fun to play around with. But whether it's Ishin or Lost Judgment, just too many styles to be honest, where I only end up using 1 or 2. And for here, even in the man who erased his name in Pirate Yakuza, I just used Kiryu's Dragon Dojima style. And here, I just used Majima's Mad Dog Shimano style. I just did, even if those two in particular may be heavy-hitting styles. And the Mad Dog and the Current Dragon are not my favorite to play as in these spin-offs, really, I mean it. Sure, it's cool that in Kiryu he finally gets the red heat as Dragon, for Majima finally get to have all the purple heat when playing as him, and you get some really cool moves and heat actions, and I just feel like I like how their fighting styles were in past games. Well, okay, maybe here this was Majima's best we ever got to play as him, maybe. I think I would say so in terms of Mad Dog, because you finally get all of his cool boss abilities like the spin, the super dash, the goddamn hologram ghost heat things. I love it, that was spectacular. And you get to fight with both unhanded and with the Mad Dog dagger. Good stuff. However, for Majima, Pirate was cool, but much like Agent style, it was gimmicky, it had its moments for crowd control, but I'd rather just play as the guy that we already know with his main fighting style. That's just me. I mean, if you ask me, I think my 2 favorite Dragon Engine gameplays is Yakuza 6 or Kiwami 2. I know, but there's some things about the way it plays in those games that really is a highlight for me. Or even the First Judgment, or Kaito Files. Like, that's kind of my favorite Dragon Engine, but Majima's Mad Dog is very up there. It's really up there. I love it. And one caveat, however, look, we finally get to play as Majima in a spin-off game. You do get to wear his Irizumi out and about, which is a big plus compared to the man who erased his name, where you never got to just run around with Kiryu's Irizumi. I know, there's a reason for it, but here, Majima's free. The Mad Dog is free for the most part. Memory loss included, but one thing that I don't get is how this is the 20th anniversary game, guys. It took us 10 years the last time we got to play as Majima in a main campaign. But in 2025, we're back to 2005 because we only get 1 heat bar. What the hell? I looked through the upgrades, I only did the main story and about a quarter of all the side content, but I gotta say, looking through the upgrades, where's all the heat bars, man? Because if there was no way in the story to get more heat, like the last Gaiden, where Kiryu had at least 4 extra heat bars on top of his first one, here Majima only gets 1 heat bar. What the hell? And it takes forever to charge. There's not really a lot of heat actions either, which that was a disappointment, I'll be honest. And for another thing, I do kind of wish we had one more Majima game where we got to explore some part of Japan as him, bring him back home, but I digress. So, just in terms of a Gaiden, how does this game hold up? Well, there's a bunch of side content. Anything that Ichiban's done in his past 2 games, you can do as Majima. You have the whole Mad Atlantis mini-games, like the baseball thing, with the pirate theme, and of course the Colosseum, and a bunch of random islands to hop over and invade and capture the booty, if you will, the treasure. So, the open world of this game is technically really big, much better than the man who erased his name. And I think the nightlife in this game is really cool too. Plenty of customization. Music is okay. Not my favorite soundtrack in the series, I'll be honest. I mean, I think my favorite theme is probably the remix of Receive You, that being Receive You, The Arousal, which comes at a very great moment in the game, real highlight. But, as it stands, gameplay, open world, combat, some ups and downs, and for one more thing about the Dragon Engine, I'm really tired of the whole mortal reversal thing where bosses will have, just look at that, where bosses will have this thing where they go into a heat stance and you have to quick step and hit circle, or another button depending on your upgrade to counter it. Look, I think that overstayed its welcome in Lost Judgment and the Kaito Files, but the fact they put that same mechanic in The Man Who Erased His Name and Pirate Yakuza, I just got really annoyed. Like when you're fighting the final boss or any penultimate boss and they do that move, and they keep, like, you know, they do it a couple times in very long fight phases. It just gets tedious, but that's just me. I could do without that mortal reversal mechanic. It should have stayed in the Judgment games. But let's go to part 2 of this video. And did Pirate Yakuza live up to the hype as a character moment for Goromajima and his supporting cast, and as just a good game? Well, for me personally, it did. Alright, it did. Yeah, I've had some grievances so far with the gameplay and some of the padding. The padding. Everyone else, I haven't watched anyone else's YouTube video of this game as a review. I haven't, but I'm sure they brought up the padding in like chapter 2 and 4. And believe me, I'm going through my last bit of college. I was home for a weekend. I just wanted to play a new Yakuza game with my brothers. And I was really annoyed that, you know, on the 3-day weekend, I was trying to get through this game. It was shorter, I should have beat it quicker, but the padding was pretty annoying, I'll be honest. It just was. But without the padding, this would have been a lot more fun to revisit, kind of like The Man Who Erased His Name. I get it, they want you to experience all the side content because, you know, it's a shorter game, people might just miss it, but the tutorials they had for all of it in this game was okay. In Pirate Yakuza, it was okay, but the more they kept putting me on the pirate ship, the more side characters said we should check out that island. They had nothing else. I couldn't say no if I wanted to beat the main story. That got really annoying after a while. It just did. But besides that, as a game about Goromajima, I think this game was pretty much fantastic for the most part. Now sure, it's kind of weird that we get a Majima solo game after 10 years and he doesn't even know who he is. Except, you know, he knows his fighting skills, obviously, his combat style. But this game, if Infinite Wealth was Kiryu Kazuma's RoboCop moment, the 87 RoboCop, where he gets to finally regain his name, and that is pretty amazing, then this is the Iron Giant of the Yakuza series. What do I mean by Iron Giant? Well, if you've ever seen that animated film growing up, it's about this weird, cool character who crash lands from another world. He doesn't know who he is, his memory, he slowly regains it back, and he forms a bond with the kid who found him. And that Goromajima is pretty much the Iron Giant in this story. He's kind of a mentor, a cool friend to the lonely protagonist kid that is Noah Rich. So the dynamic between Majima and Noah is pretty cool. And I like that it kind of shows how this was what Majima could have been like as a father if Park didn't, you know, abort their child back when we learned about in Yakuza 5's backstory. So that makes sense for Majima. It's one of those things you might think the kid is annoying at first, but when you really think about it, you know, I liked how June was portrayed in the Kaito Files. And of course, I think Haruka's always been a cool character. And for here, I think Noah's pretty cool. He's much cooler than, or I mean, more like more of an interesting component to the story than that one girl from Infinite Wealth that we don't really get to see, for the leader of Palakana, you know. But Noah Rich was interesting. You could tell he's been through a lot on the island, since he doesn't really react whenever he gets beat up by these old mean guys. But luckily Majima's there to save him, and his 2 sisters, and his own father. He saves Noah's father. And the guy who looks like Arthur Morgan and Post Malone had a child together. That is how I describe Noah's father, Jason. Sorry, Jason. But I do think that the dynamic that this stranger, this good-hearted stranger has with this rich family and the land of pirates, is a great story. It's a great setup, even if I have to kind of forgive some of the annoying padding in the story. But in terms of hype, it does bridge the gap after Infinite Wealth pretty nicely. We get to hear more about Bryce, Fairchild, that bastard, a little bit more about Abina and Chitose and what she's doing for company, and of course where Saejima and Majima have been post-Infinite Wealth. Good stuff. We get to see a lot of the Hawaiian side characters if you run around Honolulu. And of course it's nice to see Nishida, Minami return. It's just nice to see some bits of Majima's past. But in terms of they live up to the hype for Goromajima as a character, for most part, yes, if you can get through the fact that he lost his memory, but that's just the drawing point of the story. I've come to terms with it, and it does pay off in the finale pretty well, like it did with The Man Who Erased His Name, where Kiryu finally gets to hang out with his guys and lay to smack down a bunch of Yakuza. But this brings us to the whole point of the game, and I was a little disappointed that in the beginning we get little bits of Majima actually remembering who he was. Little bits of flashback, stock footage, but as I talked about in my previous video about my predictions for this game, I was a little disappointed that from what I saw in just the main campaign alone, he doesn't really reflect on his life too much. Not really too much of him being tortured or anything of Park. I was hoping that Park would get mentioned, not Makoto, but Park. That would make more sense here. And sure, the dynamic with Noah is probably enough to kind of fill in the gap what he lost when he was with Park, but Park's actress is in this game. She plays Queen Michelle. And obviously they don't really make any connection because it's a different character, but we could have had some flashback of Park and Majima with Katsuya from 5, or another character I wanted to see, Lily, Yasuko, Saijima's sister. She could have been talked about here. Maybe in the life links of Saijima and Majima. I know that's the thing I haven't really gotten to, the bar stuff with Revolve Bar, but maybe they do talk about her in their life link. I'll have to check it out. Forgive me if I just didn't catch that. But I just want to see more Majima stuff mentioned, especially since they already had Nishida and Minami here. They're already throwing in some old characters, and maybe if you got to fight Nishitani III, that would have been cool. Maybe not necessary, but a cool callback. But as it stands, this game is about, goromajima being the mad dog in a new place that's unfamiliar to him. And that might be a big enough draw point. And yeah, pirates are pretty much just, aquatic Yakuza when you think about it. And I mean, we've had samurai games and a zombie game in the past. I think we can handle a pirate game, you know what I mean? But, I mean, when I went to this, what did I get? Majima in a new world, sticking it to guys who think they're in control. That's the most Majima thing ever. Plenty of new amazing karaoke, like Midnight Desire, a new 24-Hour Cinderella song, and of course, we get Majima no Maji Rock as a CD, which is my favorite Majima song, but a lot of good stuff is here. All the costumes, the music, Majima as a character, he gets stick it to all the guys who think they're in control, including the big bad boss of the game, Samoa Joe, Raymond Law. Now, right off the bat, his themes were okay. I do think most of the soundtrack was a bit of hit or miss, sadly, which is kind of a shame for a Yakuza game, but the Samoa Joe fight, yeah, he didn't have an Irizumi, but how does it stand as a Majima-centric fight? Well, still pretty good. Remember, all of Majima's final fights so far have been about fighting another guy that wields a weapon. Whether it was Laogoi in Yakuza 0, Ibuchi, and Kiwami 2, and now Raymond Law. They all have weapons, which fits Majima's style as having weapons in his fights. I think it makes sense. But that's a bit surface level on my end. However, all of those guys are wanting to hurt innocent people in some way. And I do think that was enough for Majima to just really embrace the Mad Dog and take him down. I mean, if you look at the prelude to the fight with Raymond Law, Majima was there to protect Noah's dream, including his whole family, Noah's family, his sisters and his father and everything. Because whether it's the pirate, the Yakuza, the government, a cult, any other shady organization, they're all the same, and that they're just guys playing dress up, thinking they're in control. And for Majima, sure, he may look goofy with his design, but he's dead serious. He's not gonna let jackasses pick on the innocent. That's Majima to a T, and this game delivered him that. And, I just gotta say, yeah, may not be my favorite final boss in the series, but we got a new Receive You theme out of it. Saijima got to say balls out once again, and we got some nice bro moments with Majima and Saijima alike that reminded me of why I love those two characters. And of course, the scene where Majima fights the Amazon Prime show Majima in the cave. God, already forgot his name, but that guy, in the cave when all the Yakuza, the young Yakuza turn on Majima's crew, that was peak Majima because he shut them down and he's showing them what it really means to be a man. And that's Majima. Whether it's fighting the Yakuza, Raymond Law and the pirates, Queen Michelle and her navy fleet, or anyone else in this game, it was Goro Majima to the T, even if he forgot his memory, because deep down he was always there. And I think that if you look at Infinite Wealth as a game that took Kiryu back to zero, as in he has a different design, and he has his body type from zero again due to the events of that game, well, Pirate Yakuza does a similar thing for Majima. He has a different design for the most part, and he kind of starts from ground zero, you know? He may not be Lord of the Night this time, and he has to become the Mad Dog again, but this time he's a pirate. And I think that fits. I mean, for Pete's sake, in Dead Souls, one of Majima's special outfits was a pirate costume, so it was set in stone. But with all that in mind, Pirate Yakuza did live up to the hype for the most part. Yeah, it did. I may have a few grievances just on my end, and maybe you might share them too, my Midnight Desire viewers, but this was still a real treat, I gotta add. Do I still wish we got maybe a normal Majima game? Maybe, but I feel like you needed a new hook of Majima. Much like of Zero, he wasn't quite Majima yet. Here, Majima was in his 60s, he finally gets to be free, so he wants to do something new with his life, and for that I really admired that. So I think the pirate theme was a good idea at the end of the day. And going forward, I do think that there are big things coming. If you saw the end credit scene, you can see the three Jimas meet Kiryu, but they left her off the screen. I do think Kiryu and Haruka are going to return in another game as supporting mentor figures, which is exciting. And as we saw, Majima's back in Japan, hanging out with Ichiban, so who knows, will Like a Dragon 9 be about Ichiban and Majima, or will it be about Ichiban, just a solo game, or maybe it'll be about Ichiban and Ryuji Goda, or maybe even Masato Aizawa. Who knows? The sky's the limit. But I still really enjoyed this game. I'm excited to go back and go through all the side missions and other things to test out. And at the end of the day, I got to play another Yakuza game. I've been a fan for 5 years now. 20th anniversary game for the whole franchise, but it was exciting. And come on, you get to dress up Majima as his voice actor, Mr. Ugaki. Can you get even more peak than that? Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Were you slightly aroused at this game like I was? Were you disappointed? Or did you all around love it and you want to go to Hawaii? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to look forward to my next video of the Tanimura files. Until then, stay sexy and I'll see you in the next one.